Hello and welcome to I Want to Fight Araki, a JoJo's Bizarre Adventure close analysis podcast. And today we are covering um, probably one of the most cursed episodes in the whole show. It's either this one or the first episode we're covering next time. That is just like Mondo cursedness.
Oh, yes, that one.
But anyway, I'm Thomas.
And I'm Emily, as
And,
you all know.
And today we are covering Stardust Crusaders episodes 6, 7, and 8. So, with all that
We
said,
love a good cursed episode.
yeah, let's get into it. With 3 days at sea until they get to Singapore, Jotaro and the crew decide to relax. The group's sunbathing is cut short, however, when one of the sailors on the ship discovers a stowaway. The young stowaway says that he is simply trying to get to his father, who lives in Singapore, but the crew doesn't buy it and threatens to turn him over to the police. The boy escapes custody and jumps off the ship to avoid arrest when one of the sailors informs the group that they are in shark-infested waters. Right before the boy is attacked, however, Jotaro dives into the water and Star Platinum is summoned to knock out the shark and save the boy. Jotaro grabs the boy by the shirt only to discover that the boy is actually a girl. Meanwhile, another set of fins comes after Jotaro and it cleaves the shark in half. Right before it catches them, Hierophant Green is able to save the girl and Jotaro. The group quickly deduces that the second set of fins was a stand and believes the girl to be the user before quickly dropping it, as she has no knowledge of Dio. Just then, the captain of the ship arrives. He says that he won't go easy on any stowaways before noticing that Jotaro is smoking a cigarette. The captain grabs the cigarette and mockingly puts it out on Jotaro's hat. Jotaro then reveals that the captain is the stand user. Jotaro reveals his method to be that when a stand user inhales a small amount of smoke, a vein will appear on their nose. All of the stand users grab their noses, including the captain, before Jotaro reveals it to be a ruse. The captain drops the facade and grabs the girl using his stand from earlier, Dark Blue Moon, a humanoid fish creature with 4 eyes. Dark Blue Moon grabs the girl, trying to bring her into the water, but is stopped by Star Platinum's stand rush. Star Platinum catches the girl, but suddenly barnacles start climbing up the stand's arm, pulling it, and consequently Jotaro into the depths as Hierophant Green catches the girl. The Fate Captain taunts Jotaro and begins creating a whirlpool filled with Dark Blue Moon's razor-sharp scales. As the barnacles continue to climb Star Platinum, Jotaro begins to go limp as the whirlpool damages him. Jotaro is eventually brought right next to the Fate Captain when suddenly Star Platinum's fingers extend out of its barnacle shell. Jotaro reveals that he was limp to lure the Fate Captain into a false sense of security and was secretly building pressure in his hand. Jotaro surfaces and heads to the ship, but not before it begins to explode, the Fate Captain having planted bombs all over the place. The Stardust Crusaders, along with the girl and a few sailors, survive and are left adrift at sea when they suddenly come across a sudden, massive tanker hiding in the fog. The group boards the tanker and searches the interior. They find no crew, but they do find an orangutan in a cage. As the group heads back out to the deck, a piece of seemingly broken equipment swings down and butchers one of the sailors. Joseph, thinking that the tanker is unsafe, orders the crew and girl to the lower decks as Kakyoin uses Hierophant Green to search all around the tanker. The girl visits the orangutan again, where it offers her a sliced apple while it smokes a cigarette and reads an issue of Playboy. The sailors lead the girl away and warn her about the ape's strength. The girl, in the meanwhile, decides to take a shower to wash off the salt water, while Jotaro goes back to the room with the orangutan, only for it to be missing. The orangutan sneaks up on the girl in the shower, revealing to have murdered the remaining crew. Before the ape can attack, however, Jotaro jumps in and saves her. Jotaro lands a few hits, but is hit by a fan, embedding itself in his shoulder. The ape sends Jotaro flying, and a window suddenly breaks ahead of Jotaro, its glass heading towards the young Joestar. Jotaro collects the glass using Star Platinum and prepares to counterattack with it when suddenly the ape phases through the wall. Jotaro wonders why he can't see the stand before realizing that the ship itself is the stand. Jotaro is restrained in the lower decks using pipes, while the rest of the Crusaders begin sinking into the floor topside as the steel begins to crush their organs. The ape reappears in a captain's uniform and prepares to attack the girl once more. Jotaro then flicks a button at the ape, mocking it, saying that the ape's strength, can't even stop a button. The ape attacks Jotaro, but Jotaro uses the star finger technique from the Dark Blue Moon fight and sends his button into the ape's brain. Star Platinum frees Jotaro and unleashes a stand rush, killing the ape. The ship begins to fall apart as the Crusaders, along with the girl, wait to be rescued off the coast of Singapore. The group decides to take the day to recover in Singapore, as well as plot the next part of their journey. The group, along with the girl, Anne, head to a nearby hotel, which is revealed to be mostly full. The group decides to break off, Joseph and Avdol taking a room, and Jotaro and Kakyoin taking a room, while Polnareff and Anne each get their own. As soon as Polnareff walks into his room, however, he immediately notices a stand user in the room. The user appears from Polnareff's fridge and introduces himself as Devo. Polnareff wastes no time in attacking Devo with Silver Chariot, even poking out Devo's eyes. Devo's blood falls onto a doll, and Devo begins maniacally laughing. Devo falls off the balcony, but just as Polnareff leans over to see where Devo fell, his ankle is attacked, a chunk of it falling off. Polnareff makes a call to Joseph and Avdol explaining the situation and agrees to meet them in their room in 5 minutes. Polnareff then makes a second call for medical supplies while Joseph calls Jotaro and Kakyoin so the group can meet up. Polnareff looks for his room key and finds it under his bed, but just when that happens, Polnareff's legs and arms are tied to the bed. The doctor Polnareff called for walks in at this time, but has his face cut off. Polnareff is then subsequently attacked by a doll, which Devo is controlling using the power of his stand, Ebony Devil. As the group wonders about Polnareff's whereabouts, the Frenchman attempts to free himself with Silver Chariot. However, with Polnareff unable to see Silver Chariot, he continues to take damage. Eventually, Polnareff is able to free himself, but when he does so, Ebony Devil begins pouring various juices and alcohol on the floor. It then prepares to drop a hairdryer onto the now-soaked floor, only for Silver Chariot to catch both the hairdryer and Ebony Devil with its sword. Polnareff reveals that during his attempts to slash the enemy's stand, he was scattering pieces of a mirror on the floor so he could accurately control Silver Chariot. Polnareff crawls out from under the bed and utterly annihilates Ebony Devil with slashes and stabs, as Devo is found cut up in a men's bathroom by a janitor. Polnareff meets up with the group, who all berate him for his lateness before Polnareff falls to the floor, exhausted. Polnareff is arrested for the mysterious circumstances behind the doctor's death, and while the Speedwagon Foundation works on releasing him, Joseph decides to use Hermit Purple's spirit photography to spy on Dio. Hermit Purple is used on a TV, which reveals that Kakyoin is a traitor and that he cannot be trusted. Dio suddenly catches Joseph spying on him and destroys the TV to prevent further spying, as Joseph and Avdol wonder if they can really trust their friend. End of episodes.
Wacky.
Yeah, there's quite a number of stand fights in that, and this is not even the longest summary.
3 whole stand fights, 1 per episode, and only the third one is interesting, in my opinion.
I kind of like the strength fight, but
I do. The strength fight is fine, but like the first one is like bleh.
Yeah, the Ebony Devil fight is certainly the best of these 3.
I must admit, the strength fight, like, now that I think about it, and it's just like, it has a very terrifying setup.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, it's freaky, and this, of course we have the third one, which I like, because it's interesting. Polnareff is like just under a bed the entire time, and just is trying to fight from under there. It's just a concept.
It's very creative in that way.
I feel like right there is when it starts. Like, they get more and more creative as they go along, and it gets more and more fun. Actually, when I first watched JoJo, I stopped like right after the strength fight.
Why? Out of interest?
I don't know. It just sort of happened. I just stopped.
Because, like, I would say, like, the strength fight is, like, when things, like, finally start kind of picking up speed a little bit.
Yeah, but I guess it was just, like, it was still kind of, like, annoying for reasons.
I feel. Well, speaking of the stands, why don't we do our tarot breakdown that we've been doing for the last couple episodes. So I'll do these in chronological order. So we have the moon, which is upright. It represents illusion, intuition, uncertainty, confusion, complexity, secrets, and unconsciousness. While in reverse, it represents fear, deception, anxiety, misunderstanding, misinterpretation, clarity, and understanding.
I feel like that fits the captain or the fake captain very well, because the whole thing was that he deceived them into thinking that, you know, he was the captain when he wasn't. It's just,
and it also works because he's like the uncertainty sort of is like referential to the trick with the cigarette, that like he doesn't even like trust that like Jotaro like might just be making this whole thing up.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know that we have that much to say about the fake captain aside from the fact that I just think it's really funny that the freaking monkey gets a name. The ape is called Forever, for the record, but fake captain is just fake captain.
It's a heck of a name for an orangutan.
It certainly is.
What's your name? Forever.
It's we were talking about this before we started, but it's a Wu-Tang Clan reference because one of the albums is called Wu-Tang Forever, and orangutan kind of sounds like Wu-Tang. It's just the reason why.
Which is, it's so dumb, but I love it.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I feel like that's kind of like the best way to describe this show, honestly.
It's so dumb, but I love it.
It's kind of dumb, but I love it.
That's how I explain it to people who are like, why should I watch JoJo? And I'm like, it's kind of dumb, but it's really fun.
It is. Although, I don't know. I feel like we're maybe
showing that smart sometimes.
It's a little bit smart sometimes, yeah.
Like, in half of Stardust Crusaders is dumb.
Yes.
But like, the rest of the show has a couple brain cells.
Mm-hmm. It's got a few galaxy brain moments.
Oh yes, part 5 be like, my brain is a galaxy. Even part 2 be like that, actually.
Mm-hmm. I would agree.
Even part 1 is more galaxy brain than part 3, not gonna lie.
I don't know that I necessarily agree, but we can save that for as we continue down this part. Yeah, the only thing I can like, I don't even know. I don't have that much to say about the moon in relation to the stand user.
Because he's barely even a character. He's just like, I will fight you, and that's what most of them are.
It just reminds me of the Austin Powers thing in the third movie where like this guard comes up to Michael Caine and Michael Caine just goes like, son, you don't even have a name tag. Why don't you slide down? Why don't you slide down and give up? And the guy just like lies down like as he says it. It's pretty funny.
Lie down now.
Anyway, so moving on, the strength tarot card upright represents courage, bravery, confidence, compassion, self-confidence, and inner power, while in reverse it represents self-doubt, weakness, low confidence, inadequacy, cowardice, and forcefulness.
I feel that I don't know how to describe how it fits with the orangutan name Forever, but it kind of does, because he was very overly confident in the beginning, and then oh my god, I already forgot which one of the things you said was it was like cowardice, right?
Cowardice is strength in reverse.
When Jotaro beat him, he was like, "Oh, I surrender."
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot more to say with this one, for as much as we usually say. Definitely self-confidence is one. The fact that he's just like toying with everyone on the ship because like he like pretends,
this is my stand. You are on my stand, literally. And
exactly.
So,
yeah.
But at the end, Jotaro was like, no.
And it ties into inner power, sort of, where they talk about how like obviously like stands are sort of representative of their user. And so sort of the fact that this orangutan has like it's so confident and it's so like it has such like inner power and confidence and all that its stand is massive. I mean, I think to record it's the biggest stand.
What about the sun?
Oh, that's true. I mean, the sun is definitely one of the bigger ones, but
chunky stand.
Yeah, it's a big chunky stand. It's literally, they bring up the fact that it's so powerful that like even normal people who don't have stands can see it. Like that's how much confidence this orangutan has in itself, and the fact that its stand like manifests it like so physically. And
My
then fourth,
favorite thing.
no, go
My
ahead.
my favorite thing about that is like stands are supposed to be like a manifestation of your soul and your will, and then
Mm-hmm.
it's just like what are the inner workings of my soul? Boat.
what, what are the inner workings of whole horse's soul? Gun.
Gun. This gun is a manifestation of my soul. I love
um,
that concept. Just thinking about it, like yes, my soul is a gun. Pew pew. Then of course we
um,
have boat. Of course,
you ever watched
my
Phineas
soul
and
is a
Ferb?
boat. Oh my god, I love Phineas and Ferb.
There's
I
an
referenced Doofenshmirtz like 2 episodes ago.
there's a
I
there's a
quoted
there's
him.
a episode of Phineas and Ferb where like Doofenshmirtz's plan is to like flood the Danville Dam, and like his invention for that episode is the Boat, which
Oh,
is
the Boat! I remember the Boat.
it's just a boat, but it's like an acronym. It's like the buoyancy automotive like something device. It's
The
like
Boat. I like for like a hot minute when I was a kid, I only called boats Boats just to reference that because I thought it was really funny.
yeah,
Phineas and Ferb is superior to
it's
other
such a good
children's
show.
shows. It's right up there with like Drake and Josh,
Hmm.
just simply, and SpongeBob, of course.
The only other thing I have to add on the strength fight is like forcefulness, which like we might get into later. But he's the Forever is certainly forceful when it comes to his relationship with An or Anne.
Tries
Um,
to
any
sexually assault a girl.
yeah. Anything else you want to add on the strength relation for now?
Not right now.
Okay. So the last tarot for these episodes is the Devil, which upright represents oppression, addiction, dependency, excess, powerlessness, and limitations, while in reverse, it represents independence, freedom, revelation, release, reclaiming power, and reclaiming control.
I
So
am
sort
really trying to think about that, but I have nothing right now.
Certainly more representative of the upright devil than the reverse devil. I think obsession, it probably is referential to how Ebony Devil works, where
Grudge.
yeah, it's a grudge essentially, where um, Davo has to be like hurt in order for Ebony Devil to attack whoever hurt him, and that sort of ties in with limitations as well. Um, and then maybe excess, you could sort of argue that like Ebony Devil, like whenever it attacks, like it cuts off a dude's face, like it's
Yeah.
pretty excessive. Um, and how that's I guess maybe powerlessness could also be the fact that like Ebony Devil is really like it has like zero chance against a fight against Silver Chariot. It's just that it gets the jump on Polnareff, which is what allows it to like do all that damage. Like if it was just a straight fight, like Polnareff would have kicked its ass 12 times over.
You know, that's the lifestyle of rock and roll. It's all about excess, baby.
It's weird
Oh
that
gosh.
like because normally in JoJo, whenever there's a character who's a musical reference, they like change the name so it's like not as much. But they changed Davo's name so that it's Soul Sacrifice, which is a Santana song. So like they changed a musical reference to another musical reference.
Just a different one. Just a
um,
different one.
but yeah, that's all I have to say about the tarot meanings. Um,
I like Ebony Devil fight. The fight is good.
the Ebony Devil fight is probably one of the best fights in Stardust Crusaders.
It's pretty lit, not gonna lie.
It's a very simple. It's weird because like the fight itself, I think conceptually and like really in how the fight is executed is pretty smart. Like your Polnareff is like stuck in one place, and how can he fight Ebony Devil, which is this hyper agile, hyper aggressive stand. And like him breaking the mirror is a really clever way of doing that. Um, it's certainly one of the best fights.
And also, it's where my boy Araki really loves horror movies. I feel like it's one of the fights that the references to horror movies really does come through. And it's like, oh yes, this man has seen a couple of them.
Yeah, Ebony Devil is a pretty clear reference to Child's Play.
I feel like it's like a combination of things. Like you have obviously Chucky, and then you also have like the fact that it operates off of a grudge. And so there's just like a hot couple of references, even if some of them are smaller.
Definitely.
And also, like if any like if you're gonna be stuck in one place for a fight, being like pinned under a bed is probably like the weirdest place that you could imagine being stuck.
No, I mean it's a weird place to be trapped. Certainly, I got like maybe we'll talk about this again in the silly stuff, but just like the image of Davo just crawling out of the fridge is like simultaneously really funny and really creepy to me.
Yeah. It's good. I have a lot of silly stuff. I don't have a lot of intelligent things to say in this episode, but I got some funny stuff.
Well, I think I have like one or two things. We're kind of jumping around here a little bit, but why don't we just start with how we usually start when it comes to episodes where we're sort of unsure is the sort of the big addition that these episodes bring, which is Anne.
Yes, I have a hot couple of things to say about her.
Yeah, I think it's this is sort of an example of Araki not writing women super well. I feel like
Anne is one of the slightly better ones, though.
Yeah, I mean, uh, she certainly has more of a personality. I mean, the fact that she's sort of willing to jump off the boat to escape capture is one of those things. It's really more in the
She's
strength
spunky.
episode that like it is his foibles.
She's just very unlike the other female characters in JoJo. She's very spunky and will like yell at you and tell you off. Like she's not afraid of anything, unless it's an orangutan that's trying to.
Yeah,
I'd be afraid of that too. Not gonna lie. All right.
I think most people would be.
I feel like most people would be.
Yeah,
but like of these 5 like very buff dudes, she's like, I will shank you. Like, don't.
What does she say? It's like the demon's blade, like calls for blood or something like that. It's just like a pocket knife. Like
she's so fun. Like she's kind of silly. Her vibes are. She passed her vibe check with flying colors.
She did. I think sort of the way she interacts with like Jotaro versus Polnareff is pretty funny.
Oh, I love that. Her and Polnareff just like not getting along at all.
Yeah, that's like Polnareff's thing. It's like he doesn't like everyone likes him, but also they don't like him.
Yeah. I have a couple of things about that in the silly stuff, but I can do it all. Did I even write it down? Dang it.
Besides that, I think the other sort of I think a lot of the Stardust Crusaders episodes are going to be more of us pointing out little stuff as opposed to big things in character arcs, and I think these are actually some subtle things going on with Jotaro in these episodes.
I have a few things.
This is really the first time where we've seen Jotaro be as compassionate as he is, where he's much more willing to like protect, because when Jotaro thinks that Anne is a boy, and she jumps off the ship. Like he's like, oh, just like leave her behind, whatever. And then they mention that they're in shark infested waters, and then Jotaro himself jumps into the water to save her. And like obviously he's got Star Platinum, so he'd be fine. But
Sharks.
the fact that he's willing to like jump into shark infested waters to save her is like that's something that I think sort of shows more of his chivalrous spirit. Like Jotaro is about like I think we talked about how the star is like representative of like hope and kindness. Like it's got all these, sort of traditionally positive connotations. And we see a lot of moments in these episodes where Jotaro, where like that part of his personality shines through more. Like he's not trying to be the tough guy. He's not trying to be the punk in these scenarios. He is legitimately trying to be more caring and more like sensitive and things like that.
There's a hot couple more of instances of him doing that in these episodes, but I also like to say that he sort of like no matter what he always takes on like a punk role, but it's just like one thing whenever I think about like especially like older and even like newer like punk culture, like the legit like you know you see someone walking down the streets wearing a leather jacket with a mohawk, it's just like normally you'd think that they're kind of aggressive,
Mm-hmm.
but I often it often seems to me, especially in a lot of stories as well, that there's also like a vigilante aspect to it, where
Yeah.
it's like that. I feel like that's very prominent in Jotaro as well. I think we've definitely mentioned this before, where Jotaro lives by his own rules.
Mm-hmm.
He says literally that he'll be as rude as he wants. However, he never lets evil go unpunished. He saves a kid and promises to kill the imposter captain as an act of revenge for killing the real one. And it's just like, yeah, it's when he listed a couple of things like, yeah, I'll just, if I eat at a restaurant and the food's not good, I won't pay. It's just like stuff like that. Where he's
Right.
like, yeah, he doesn't follow the rules, but he follows his own set of rules, and he does have morals. He thinks killing is wrong, but I guess will kill someone if
He
they
think
do.
I
If he'll kill a murderer.
Yeah, he thinks killing innocent people is wrong.
Yeah, and it's very clear that he has a pretty strong sense of justice. It's just he has that vigilante vibe with him, where it's like he doesn't care about authority, but will, defend those who are innocent because he just thinks it's right.
That's actually a really good point you bring up is his anti-authority attitude where because you think about it like both I mean there's like the fake captain and then you could sort of make an argument that uh, the orangutan is a captain of sorts. And I feel like captains are sort of like authority figures, in navies. Like they're the ones in charge. They're ordering the crew around and the troops around and things like that. But like Jotaro, like just doesn't care about authority or rank or anything like that. Like if you do something wrong, he'll kick your ass for it.
Yeah, it's an admirable quality.
Mm-hmm.
Also, there was a few more instances, like when that guy got just killed by the boat, where the crane just like hooked his head and
Yeah,
he just like straight up covers Anne's eyes.
yeah,
It's
that's
like don't have to
another
look at that.
good example. It,
Despite he's never actually aggressive or evil towards anyone that isn't that way to him. He's rude, but he will protect those who are innocent.
I do sort of feel like though, and this sort of ties in a little bit to like the great toxic masculinity theory,
Ah,
where
yes,
like I
my
always feel
favorite.
like Jotaro is a lot more compassionate and caring, like or more outwardly compassionate and caring towards, or I want to say this properly. He's more protective of. He's more outwardly protective of female characters Because like obviously he is rude to Holly at the beginning, but at the same time, like it doesn't really seem like Jotaro is interested in killing Dio because like it's the right thing to do or because like he has a family obligation to do that. He's more interested in killing Dio because like he'll protect his mom that way. And at the same time, I think that like him doing all these things to protect Anne, like obviously, like what he does to protect Anne is like the right thing to do in those situations. Like I'm not saying that it isn't the right thing to do. I think it's just like it's sort of, and like I almost feel like this ties into Araki's like own writing style when it comes to women. It's like almost like Jotaro like views women as like more so as like people that need to be protected rather than like equals necessarily. Like he's rude to everyone. He's rude to like all the
He's
guys.
rude to everyone equally.
He's rude to all the guys equally, but I feel like he's a lot more like it's a different kind of rudeness to the women. I don't know if I'm making any sense, but
Jotaro is the new king of respecting women, not whole horse. It's Jotaro.
he's like he like both is and isn't like he both is and isn't a feminist character.
I feel like as every generation of the JoJos come along, they get less and less sexist. Unless it's like Jonathan, because Jonathan is like, you know, it's like Jonathan has the good old benevolent sexism going on. He's like, yes, women can't defend themselves, so I will defend them. Where
benevolent
it's like, yes,
sexism. That's what I was trying to say with Jotaro.
And then like I don't even Joseph is just like sexism. It's not benevolent, but it's also not malevolent. Like it's just, you know.
It's his attitude. Like
he's just a bastard.
Yeah. Like like if Jotaro's rude to everyone, Joseph is racist to everyone. Like
oh gosh.
But yeah, I don't know if I'm trying to like force this or not. I sort of feel like there's something there, but
I think there is something there. And then, of course you got Josuke, who is like I wouldn't even Josuke just isn't sexist at all. It's not even like benevolent. It's just like he just isn't.
Yeah.
From the vibe that I get. And then like Jorno, I don't even know. I just straight up don't know. And then of course Jolene is straight up a woman, so you know.
Yeah. Is Jorno does he even understand the concept of sexism? Like
I feel like he probably isn't.
Yeah.
That vibe. He seems like a good person.
No, probably not. Jorno is, I mean, we could save that for part 5.
I have to analyze that. We have to get there because I've only seen part 5 once, but this is the third time I'm watching part 3.
Yeah. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to add. I guess we could sort of talk about Devo and like Devo is like a little bit sketch as well.
In what way?
Well, the fact that like he's like Avdol brings up the fact that he's like a Native American shaman, and like Ebony Devil manifests as a doll, basically. Like I don't like not just a doll, but like a doll with a spear and like you know what appears to be tribal painting and stuff like that. Feels a little sketch, gonna be honest.
Yeah, I feel like it's all due to a lack of understanding, which still doesn't make it good, but it's just, you know, none of it is malevolent. It's just like, yeah, it's just kind of awkward.
It is.
But I do have to give him credit for it's the one Native American character to ever exist in anime.
Until Steel Ball Run gets adapted.
Until one day it will happen.
But yeah, I don't know. Do you want to talk about the stuff with the orangutan?
Oh, of course, because we were just talking about her.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't really have a lot of stuff to talk about. It's just like, yeah, that's bad, and it was never portrayed as a good thing. It was just meant to freak you out. But there is
Right.
one thing I have to say about that scene where, like, Jotaro saves her from the rapist orangutan, and
JoJo's Bizarre
it's just
Adventure,
like,
ladies and gentlemen.
and she could be, she has a towel around her, and she could be holding it like it's a towel, you know. She
Yeah.
could be holding it all around her, but she's only holding it in the front of her, and I'm like,
Yeah,
that,
that's
you know,
weird.
that's just kind of dumb.
I have to say, I mean, I guess like flash forward to whenever we end up discussing part six, but like it, I feel like he gets better with as things go on. Like
Perhaps.
I
Especially like in part six, where like honestly, the vibes that I get from all like most of the female characters, it's just like they're all lesbians. Like,
like you've got like they're all like pretty reasonably dressed, um, and you've got Weather and you've got Anasui, who like Anasui is the gayest straight man you will ever see.
yeah.
Uh, he's just like a weird bastard. But yeah,
Wait, did I
like
show you that like meme where it was like it put like a word? It was just like "Welcome to JoJo's Bizarre Adventures." We have, and then um, it was like an adjective in front of like gay man. It was just like a bunch of characters, and it was like there was like woman gay man was Jolie, and then Anasui or Anasui, whatever, I don't know how to pronounce it, was just like straight gay man.
exactly. We have the memes to prove it. um, yeah, I don't know that I have much to add either, aside from the fact that we're just seeing a little bit more of like Araki's like writing foibles, I think, in these episodes.
When it
Like
comes to sexualization in JoJo, I must say, I feel like especially when you get to part five and onward, everyone is sexualized equally.
I'll definitely agree with part five.
Everyone is
Between
sexualized
Giorno's
in part
boob
five.
window and Diavolo's non-existent shirt.
Yo,
Um,
there's so many titty windows, and none of them are on girls. There's three main characters that have that. It's lovely.
yeah, but yeah, I think this is probably going to be a shorter one because I don't think I have anything else to say about these
Ooh,
episodes
I think I
thematically.
might. I have a hot couple of things to say about the plot. I have a big section on the plot that I didn't even really mention, and also one thing on the dub is that once again, I've been switching back and forth, as I've said many times, between the dub and the sub, and Matt Mercer's getting much better at his auras, I must say. It's like in the first episode, it's the most awkward thing in the world, but then by like the strength episode, it's like he's really getting the hang of this,
He's
and it's
getting
not
into
even
it.
cringy anymore. It sounds kind of cool. Like it actually sounds like it should, and it's just like, I gotta give him credit for doing that correctly.
I don't understand why they can't just get a not to get like meta here for a second, but like I don't understand why they can't just like take a clip of Matthew Mercer saying aura and then just like automatically like copy it so like it just goes like he doesn't have to do the actual auras every time.
But like he does a good job.
Yeah, I mean like if he does a good job,
The
like
first time he does it, it's very awkward, but it just like gets progressively better.
maybe it's supposed to be symbolic of how Jotaro is becoming more confident with his stand as he uses it more. That's total BS, by the way. That's
I have a hot one thing to say about Dio because every once in a while Dio does something and it's usually like, huh. So in
yeah.
this he does something and it's kind of interesting. It's just like like just out of nowhere. It's just like him just existing and it's just he just asks Enya like, what does it mean to live? What is the meaning of life? And
When you describe it like that, it sounds like Dio was like getting high. Like, what do you think's the meaning of life?
I feel like, he's got a lot of really wacky people he hangs out with. I feel like they've all just like gotten high together in his weird castle.
Probably.
That's a very lovely image. I love thinking about that now, just all of them getting high and talking about the meaning of life. Because they're a funky bunch. Like, I can only
Why isn't
imagine
there
the
a stand
conversation.
called? Wait.
I can
Why?
only imagine
Why
the
isn't there a
conversations they would have.
stand? Why isn't there a stand called the Funky Bunch? And the stand user is called Marky Mark.
I just had a flashback to something in the quote book. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
It was a good flashback. It pleased me. But anyways, he said, "What does it mean to live?" And Anya says, It's interesting because normally when someone asks you what's the meaning of life, it's just like you probably wouldn't say this, but it's like at the same time you might say this when Enya says to fulfill all of your desires. That is what it is in essence. That's pretty much she's saying. If you boil it down, that's sort of what it is, and when you think about it, it's like, it kind of is.
Mm-hmm.
You want to live the way you want to. You want to do the things that you want to do, and that is what makes life good. And it's just like, wow, okay. And then Dio responds with pretty much, life is a constant battle to get what you want, and every battle you lose is a painful scar. People fear the pain that may come from these battles, and he says that I believe that to truly live means you conquer this fear. And he says, in order to conquer this fear, I must remove the Joestars from the world. And we get a very, very, very well done, in my opinion, little bringing up of the motif of fate again, where Dio literally says he must remove the Joestars from the cogs of fate, and this hella cool visual where it's like the first small glimpse we get of his face, where it's just a reflection of a gear turning in his eye, which I thought that was pretty rad. I'm not gonna lie.
Some pretty cool foreshadowing.
And then he also, an interesting thing, because everyone's like, why the heck does this random old lady follow this weird vampire that just exists? And he straight up asks her that, and she says it's because he's interesting and powerful and wants to see what he does. Which I feel like is a very interesting thing. It's just like, yo, you're just weird. I want to see what you're gonna do next.
Yeah. I think there's a lot to break down there. I just want to like say that I never really have these like Dio interludes in the summaries because like they don't really like it's more like philosophical musings like rather than like anything that is
we love a good philosophical musing.
We do like them, yeah, and I do think this conversation is interesting because I mean when you do really break it down, like definitely like they have this sort of motif where all the Stardust Crusaders have a personal reason for wanting to fight Dio. They all like want something out of life that is not necessarily the same thing, but like they all share the same goal because of it. Like Jotaro wants to save Holly. Kakyoin wants essentially Kakyoin wants revenge / to repay Holly Joestar's kindness. Joseph wants to free Dio from Jonathan's body. Avdol is there to be a bro and help out Joseph.
There to be a bro.
And Polnareff is wants revenge against the guy who killed his sister. So like it's very similar to what Dio is saying about it's very similar to what Enya says about life is getting what you want. I think also what Dio says though about that life is conquering fear. You could almost tie that into like these episodes being a bit more like horror themed than the other ones. Like Dark Blue Moon is kind of like the thing from the Black Lagoon type, amphibian man creature. The strength fight is very much shot like a horror movie where it appears out of the fog, like there's no one around. It's very darkly lit. And then
the
like
vibes are bad.
the Ebony Devil fight is like Chucky. It's like child's play. So that could sort of just be like a subtle wink to that. But I also think, again, it sort of ties into their character arcs where like their fear, like all the characters' fears, like they're a lot more like personal and existential, like especially when it comes to Kakyoin and Joseph, I would say. Like their fears when it comes to confronting Dio and his forces. Like it's an overcoming of fear, and like once they do that, that's when they can really live.
Huh.
Yeah.
I've come to the conclusion about why Dio is so insufferable to the world, and more importantly to me, is that because he's a philosopher.
Yeah,
and we all know how I feel about philosophers, or at least you do. I'm not sure about anybody else, but I want to fight every single philosopher.
I mean, we have Ayn Rand on one of the thumbnails. So.
Yo, I'm reading Atlas Shrugged because I like to torture myself, and because I'm a masochist, so I'm reading Atlas Shrugged, and I'm telling you, it's just pure rage. It's just
your eyes like glow red like every time you read it, like.
And it's just like I had to take an ethics class, which was just a philosophy class, and I was just teeming with rage the entire time. I'm like, I hate all of you.
I hate all of you and myself.
I just hate every single one of you, and I hate me. I hate myself for hating you and like putting so much effort into like hating you and just debunking everything you're saying.
Brutal.
That's how I feel about that.
Yeah.
I'm done.
I think so. Do we want to talk about silly stuff now?
Yes. I do want to say, at least the wacky and violent fake captain cares about the environment when he was like, no, you're not going to throw that cigarette in the ocean, you delinquent.
It's true. It's true.
I can respect that.
That's like a subtle thing, though, where, like, obviously, like, his stand thrives in water, and, like, he doesn't want the...
At least he cares about the ocean.
He's an environmentalist, so, like, that's why his stand is good in water.
We stand that.
Stand that, you might say.
Oh. Also, a couple silly things about Anne. When they're all like, this guy must be a stand user, and it like does that whole anime thing where it shows all their faces, and then it just shows Anne's face, and she literally just says, what the hell are they doing? And it's funny how like non-stand users can't see stands, and Dark Blue Moon at one point like restrains Anne and holds her up, and I'm just like, I wonder what she's thinking right then, because she can't see it.
I think it's pretty funny when because they show like Star Platinum fighting the shark from her perspective, and it looks kind of goofy, just like the shark is just like being flopped around in midair.
And she's probably like, what?
And it makes sounds like gunshots every time it happens. Like...
Yeah, a similar reaction to that one episode of Twin Peaks that we were watching, and there was the horse costume incident.
Yeah. What in the goddamn fuck?
Just pure confusion, yet also amusement. Also, there was a whole ass whirlpool like happening right there, but the boat wasn't moving at all.
Yeah.
Also, there was at one point when they were in a lifeboat, and like Kakyoin just pulls out a comb and starts combing his hair, and I don't know why, but I've never noticed that before. I just thought it was really funny. I was just like, he's just like so nonchalant, and I'm just like, okay, fam, you have your fun.
One thing that I think is pretty funny in these episodes is when they're getting on strength. Jotaro like leans over to Anne, and he's like, "Here, I'll like help you onto the ship." And she like jumps into Joseph's arms, and then like turns back to Jotaro and sticks out her tongue and just makes a sound like, "Yeah." Like,
I do
What?
gotta say though, Joseph really do be good with kids though, because like the whole time he was just like he just like goes up to her and she's like it is like no matter what it's no matter how afraid you are, just know that we are on your side. And I'm like, you know what, I can respect that. And then another point where he like offers her like the last bit of water, and it's just like, my man do be a dad though.
Yeah. He's as we keep saying about Joseph in these parts, he's like the kindly he's the kindly grandpa, but he's also the racist grandpa.
It's like, I've said this before. He's the grandpa that you love. He's a lovely man. He's your grandpa. He makes silly jokes, but he's also kind of racist. And at every family reunion, he says something about the Japanese, and you're just
never
like,
forgive them.
And then you're just like, Grandpa. You just sigh. You're like, why do I love this man? Why do you have to be like this?
Exactly.
Also, that really dumb part where it was just they were all deciding who would share rooms. That whole scene in the beginning was hilarious, where like Polnareff left his luggage on the ground and a cop comes up to him and is like, you're just fined for littering. And he was like, littering, you say?
Yeah.
This is my luggage. And the fact that he just does not get along with Anne at all.
Like in between those two scenes, there's a really funny bit where Joseph like goes over to Polnareff and he's like, like, hey man, like we gotta take Anne with us because she's probably in danger, and we should like at least like pay for her hotel room. But like don't pressure her into it. Like don't make her feel like bad about it. And then Polnareff just walks over and says something to the effect of like, hey, we know you're poor, but we'll give you a hotel room. Like,
and then Joseph just like, bro, I literally told you not to do that and you just went and did it. Also, when they were all like deciding on who would share rooms, it was just like, yes, I guess I will share a room with Abdul because we're bros. And then like Kakyoin's like, Jotaro and I will share a room because we're both students. And I'm like, okay. It's just like,
right, whatever
I don't
you
know
say,
why,
Kakyoin.
It's just like, I just thought that was so stupid.
Speaking of stupid things relating to the students, the bit about
the school uniform. Well,
yeah,
we are
they're on the
after
ship,
all.
and Joseph is like, "Why are you guys still wearing your school uniform?" Kakyoin's like, "We're students. We're supposed to wear our uniforms."
And he's like, "We're good students too." And I'm like, they have such a weird vibe as friends. It's just like Jotaro's just this bastard man who is just kind of a vigilante and just doesn't care about anything. And Kakyoin's like, I'm a good student. I get straight A's. I know things about things. I'm intelligent.
It's like the meme where it's like, you text your friend like, hey, can you help me with my homework? Kakyoin's like, he's like, I'll help you do it. And Jotaro is like, no.
No. No. And then Polnareff's like, wait, we had homework?
Yeah. Yeah, they have an interesting relationship.
It's
I think
a very strange vibe, but it's a vibe I can get behind.
It is, yeah. I think Jotaro has like weird vibes with everyone.
Yes. How like, oh gosh, what was that scene? Oh, it was Polnareff and Kakyo and later on where they just like had this like whole secret handshake thing.
Oh yeah.
And it was just
the
like
High Priestess fight.
It was just like, It's one of my favorite scenes in the whole show because it's just like out of nowhere, and then their faces just go just completely
Super
serious.
Yeah.
And then like Joseph's like, stop messing around. Also, we got Polnareff in this episode just saying, oh damn, I got hurt in these pants before I got to wear them anywhere. And I'm like, I feel
it's the same pair of pants. He never changes his outfit.
Oh, and then there was, of course, when Polnareff walks in to see the rest of the gang and he's just beat to hell.
Yeah.
And they're all just like, where have you been? We need to make up a plan in case he attacks. And he's just like, I'm tired. Then he falls over. And he's just like, just all bloodied up. So they don't even notice.
It's pretty funny.
I feel bad for Polnareff.
Polnareff definitely gets like a raw deal sometimes.
He's always the one getting attacked. The enemy stand users like, how about we attack the weird guy with the weird haircut? while he's using the bathroom.
Yeah, that's a weird thing Polnareff says in these episodes is they're looking around for everyone on strength, and he just goes, maybe they're all in the bathroom because of diarrhea.
Oh, yeah.
It's just like, what? Where did that come from?
I mean, they could have been. You never know.
I mean, sure.
Perhaps.
Maybe.
It's a possibility.
It's like, Polnareff, that's what you say every time.
Oh, gosh.
I think it's safe to say these were more silly-focused episodes than
I do gotta say,
thematically-focused
Stardust
episodes.
Crusaders is often very silly,
It
and I
is.
really appreciate it. Like, just
We're gonna
there's
have a
so much
ball
comedy.
with the Mariah fight.
Oh my god, that's just pure comedy. And even like the Oingo Boingo one, that was also comedy.
Yeah. But anyway, do we have anything else to add, or?
Perhaps not.
All right. Well, if you enjoyed this episode, you can see all my silly, semi-serious ramblings by following me at Thomas M. Brickman on Twitter. I also do another podcast with my buddy Kevin. Season 3 is back. Episode 2 of Season 3 should be up here pretty soon. So if you want to follow that, keep up with all the news with that, you can watch the show. It's called Post Game Content. You just look that up on YouTube. And as far as news and stuff, you can follow at Post Game Con. That's at Post Game CON on Twitter. And Emily, where can people find you on the internet?
I really do be on Twitter though. At Emily Vinkles.
And if you want to see all the hilarious memes that Emily finds and sometimes makes, you can, and as well as all the news relating to the show, you can follow us at I Want to Fight AR1 on Twitter and I Want to Fight Araki on Instagram. And with all that said, we'll see you guys next time when we cover Stardust Crusaders episodes 9, 10, and 11. We'll see you guys then.